So let's get into it then, man. The first one that we're going to talk about today is one I saw this earlier today, and it's going to be Jurassic World Rebirth. And this film is directed by Gareth Edwards. That's also the guy who brought us, what do we got here? Rogue One. And the creator.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's
that's
what's
pretty
today.
cool. So in this film, Zora Bennett leads a team of skilled operatives to the most dangerous place on Earth, an island research facility for the original Jurassic Park. Their mission is to secure genetic material from dinosaurs whose DNA can provide life-saving benefits to mankind. As the top secret expedition becomes more and more risky, they soon make a sinister, shocking discovery that's been hidden from the world for decades. And this film stars Scarlett Johansson. We got Jonathan Bailey, Luna Blythe, Mahershala Ali. We also have Rupert Friend, Ed Skrein, and David Lacano, Audrina Miranda as well. You know, those round out our main cast. It's kind of a relatively small cast for a film like this, but I guess that falls onto the nature of this mission. But for the most part, I had a good time with this, man. This film, I feel like out of all the world series that we've had so far, this one feels like the most kind of grounded, and even that premise is a little wild. That's probably the one thing I will could nitpick a little bit, but whatever. It is what it is. This whole premise of them, going back to this restricted space to get this DNA samples from these dinosaurs so they can make a cure for heart disease, man. And so it's kind of stupid, man, but it works enough to get the ball rolling. And once the ball got rolling, I was fully invested in this thing, man. Like it has some really cool action sequences with the dinosaurs. I thought that was cool. Especially one takes place on the sea, and then there's another one which takes place on this river. But from what I know about the source material, it's a scene that they kind of repurposed for this film that was cut from the original adaptation, of the original film, something from the
Hmm.
novel. So it's kind of cool to see them actually put that in this film. And that scene was really good, man. I'm talking about like holding your breath, kind of suspense, and just, watching everything play out. As far as the characters, I think everyone did a solid job. They're good enough to get the job done. Like, I don't think you needed to have Scarlett and Mahershala in this film, but having them there, kind of, made it just a little bit
A
more
little bit more star
fun,
power.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
little bit more star power, man. Like this material is definitely beneath them, and I don't think there's nothing in here that requires, what they can do, but it kind of cool to see them doing this. Like I said, this is summertime popcorn movie, so we're used to seeing big money get spent and big stars, you know what I'm saying? So this is definitely popcorn film by nature. But yeah, I had a good time. I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of negative blowback to this film, and I think it does build onto this mythos. I don't know if the name itself indicates a kind of shift, and it feels like a shift, man, because I feel like some of the world films got just a little bit ridiculous. Like this auction thing in one of them where
Yeah,
they're
that
auctioning
last
off
one
the
was, yeah, that was
dinosaurs.
kind of that
Yeah,
was kind of cool. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
yeah, and you got these evil conglomerates and clandestine organizations running. It got a little stupid. And this one we kind of get some of this world development. This is a world where those dinosaurs are still out there in the world, but something has happened, man. It seems like most of them that are in the wild places are dying off. At least this film explains it because of the environments. Yeah, you got some that might have encroached on New York City, but they're dying off because that environment isn't supporting them. There's only a few pockets, including some of the original Jurassic Park sites that were built that have the climate and environment that's allowing some of them to actually still be alive in the wild. And for some reason, the governments in this film have restricted access to them. They're not open to the public. Like you can't. So this crew in this film is breaking the law by even going into this thing, and that kind of,
Okay.
is a setup. But overall, man, I had a good time. Like I said, I think the action was as good as ever. I like the dinosaur stuff, that was happening. We kind of get some of our familiar, there's T-Rexes, stuff you've seen in the trailer. There's a couple of new ones. And also, I think it's kind of interesting. It's still kind of a goofy explanation, but you find out the nature of this site, this particular site that they're going to. It's kind of a little dark and sinister. It kind of also builds onto the whole lore of the park. For some reason, we kind of got a inkling of that in the one where the park was open, and so it seems like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
been a couple generations of these parks, and they've actually had them functioning at one point, and then there's a point where the public kind of steps back and stops going to them, so they have to start doing crazy stuff to, keep the people interested in coming
Interesting.
to
Okay,
these
okay.
places. So there's some world building, man, which I think this thing kind of nailed a lot of stuff that I generally rock with when I go to a movie like this. And outside of that very first film, I don't think this franchise has been this really highbrow, you know, kind of thing. It's been good enough, and I'm really here mostly for the spectacle. And I think this thing delivers on the spectacle. It builds on a world in a believable way that doesn't come off, too corny, considering what we're dealing with already. This kind of crazy and ridiculous. So I don't know. I had a good time, man. I think overall, I think I gave this thing like a 3.5 on my letterbox. I liked it. I can't tell you. And it's weird because lately I noticed there's a point when I'm watching a film where I can turn on it and there's nothing it could do once I turn that brings me back. And I'm just
Yeah,
watching this
yeah.
like a giddy kid, like most of the time, just like, yeah, all right, this is working,
So you're telling me
So
that there's no such thing as dinosaur fatigue? Kind of like they were talking about
I haven't
superhero
ran
fatigue.
into it yet,
Okay.
bro. Personally, I haven't, man. And like I said, I've seen all of these films, and maybe I would say the first
Last one was
world
the
one.
last one was
I
my
did.
least favorite one.
Yeah, I didn't like the first world one that much. I liked the second one a little bit more, and then the last one was kind of like y'all are getting too crazy. So this one might be my favorite out of the whole ones that were had this world in the title. For me at least. Overall, and this probably has
Um.
to do with Gareth Evans' direction and his
Okay.
take on this stuff. But I don't know also if that's as much as him also working on the script or someone else, job, doing that. So I got to look that up.
Okay. Yeah, the world I really liked. The first one when it came back is
Hmm.
because it was almost like you had somewhat Disney World, with dinosaurs, and I always just
Yeah.
thought that was the concept, and that was just real cool. And you actually see the park, running
Hmm.
instead of like the first original film was just a preview of the park and all that stuff. You kind of see, you kind of see
Yeah.
the park operation when it just goes to shit from there. But I really love that film. First time I
Hmm.
saw it, and it's,
Yeah,
it's
that
been
was
a
kind of
decline
cool though.
since then.
Yeah, seeing that in operation, and then when there's a breach and everyone starts getting messed up by the dinosaurs,
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
Yeah, so this is written by David Kopp, and he's got a lot of stuff on his filmography as a writer that I really liked, including Premium Rush. He did a
Oh,
Jack
that's a good
Ryan
film.
Shadow Recruit. He did The Mummy. And well, nah, actually, that's the
Tom
2017 one.
Cruise, Mummy.
Yeah, I didn't hate that film, but there had a lot of dullness going on in it.
I do
Did
have a copy of it, and I at some point I'm gonna revisit it. But
mhm.
I don't remember really hating it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, this is kind of interesting. So he wrote Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. He also wrote Presents. And he
Oh,
wrote
really?
Black Bag. Whoa. Maybe he was a
Oh, okay,
co-writer with
okay.
Soderbergh. So yeah, Jurassic World Rebirth is his last credit here. And you want to go back, he also wrote 2005's War of the Worlds. So he's got a
That's a
credit on
solid.
Spider-Man, 2002 Spider-Man, Stir of
Okay.
Echoes. Yo, this guy's a crazy writing fanatic. I didn't know he was this deep with it. Mission
Yeah,
Impossible.
yeah. You got me with Premium Rush because that's an underrated film.
Yo, I love that film. I'm gonna watch it. I'm
Yeah,
gonna watch it soon, man.
yeah. Me too.
Yeah, I was
That's a
telling
very
somebody about
underrated
it.
film.
He also wrote the original Jurassic Park. So yeah, man, this guy, that's kind of cool. So maybe that's why this thing feels a little bit more grounded than some of the other sequels we've got. You know,
Okay.
but I recommend it, man. Go in if you got an open mind and you want to see some dinosaurs, stuffy stuff. Check it out. Check it out on the big screen.